Greetings everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Challenges Guide. For those who are new here or need a refresher, the Weekly Challenges are a set of 5 events here usually. They go up Thursday night Friday depending on your region. These consisting of 4 races that can already be found in-game and may need locking depending on your progress, while the 5th one is a unique special event that usually takes us of a time trial, special event, or race itself. And the purpose of these guides is to give you an overview as to what these have on offer. So, let's get into it. Kicking things off is the Sunday Cup Classic. This is a 2-lap race at Brands Hatch Indy circuit and requires a road car. It can be a classic, but it could also be a modern one. Doesn't really matter all that much. I'm going to choose something that's a little off the beaten path here, just to demonstrate how crazy you can really get. Obviously, it's still a classic here, but again, a demonstration of doing what you want to do. And that is using this Mercedes very good marker car here. Not the most conventional choice, but hey, let's go with it. And so these laps here, obviously you want to brake a lot earlier with this. Second gear for paddock hill bend. You gotta power about here. And then of course coming up to Druids on the brakes just as that bridge comes up there. And a lot of turning in. And you could use the power to kind of turn the car a little bit, just be careful what you do. Of course, we go down here to this corner to the hill bend. Come right on out. And then we come up here through the section called McLaren. Which we're gonna go right this left. You gotta throw this a little bit. And then we get right on to the second gear here. Exiting this final sector here and get all the power right about here. Because then you're guaranteed to get a good run out, get good power, and not go into the grass. And so, that is a lap around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit in probably one of the more unique choices I have chosen for one of these events. So, let's get on to the race itself to see how that goes on. So, ideal things to work out here. Ideal passing zones are Paddock Hill Bend, Druids, and Clark Curve. I found those to be very ideal for getting around the AI. Now, of course, you are going to want to be aware of the AI's excessive braking in many of these corners. They tend to brake 2 to 3 times depending on the corner, so it's not exactly the most ideal thing, but beware if you are making some ambitious passes there for that clean race bonus. Next up is the Japanese FF Challenge 450. 3 laps around Tokyo Expressway Central Counterclockwise. Requires a road car from Japan with an FF drivetrain. So, you can see these cars here. For me, I am going to choose my trusty Honda N1 here. I tend to find this ideal for these kind of street circuity races. And this is where I usually run. Nothing too special. So let's get a lap around here to properly demonstrate. So, we go into this corner here. I tend to downshift to about 4th gear, hang that throttle all the way to the inside, and then power right on out. That feels comfortable for me. This sector here pretty much is flat out. It can look a little daunting if you don't really do this very often, but it's pretty much flat out. Plenty of grip in the car. It's not exactly going to send you to a wall in many of these sections. You can just pretty much go right on through it. No problem. Now there are going to be some tricky sections where you'll want to carry speed. You can, but you got to be careful here. 4th gear, hang towards that wall there, and all the way up here. And then again, all the way through this sector right here. And again, mostly flat out. You don't really have to do a lot of braking here. So we get up here to about there again, 4th gear. I squeeze onto this power. We're going through the final sectors of this track. On through 10. We're squeezing through this little bit of a patch here. And again, this is full throttle. You're just going to be hanging out towards the wall like this. And what you're doing is basically setting yourself up for this final corner here, which is going to be about 4th gear, a slight lift and a downshift, and then exiting right on out. And you'll get to this start and finish right here. And that is pretty much a lap around the Expressway counterclockwise. So, as far as this goes, a lot of flat out turns depending on the car or setup, specifically turns 2 through 3 and 4 through 7. But be mindful of the AI's repeat brake patterns again. They'll do this in a lot of the sectors that are flat out, so you definitely are going to want to be very careful where they do that. Otherwise, that will ruin your momentum and your clean race bonus. So be mindful of that. Next, the Porsche Cup. This is a 5-lap race around Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps and requires 650 performance points, and the model has to be a Porsche. Simple as that. So we're going to go in here, and I am going to, of course, demonstrate my newest creation here, this Porsche GT3 996. Basically recreating the Cup car from 2001, and this is my setup for it. So let's give it a shot with taking a lap around here. So what I did here, brake at the 100 marker, 2nd gear through this one right here, and onto the power, out to those curbs, full power all the way down here. Of course, this is where what I have is going to be handy. So you get out the power, 4th, through El Rouge, then we got a Radion, up to 5th gear right about there, so you can continue that momentum and keep that power going. And we're on the Camel Straight. Of course, we're about to brake really hard for Les Combs here. So brake right about before the 100 marker, for me at least. 2nd gear, little curb here, little curb there. Try to turn the car a bit. And then right to this section on there, 3rd gear, power on all the way to the curbs. Another hard braking area just as that curbing comes up through Bruxelles, and I tend to usually hang about right here so I can get a good power exit right off to that curb right here. And then the next one right here for Speaker's Corner is what we call out onto the curb, and then heading up here to Pujon, 50 mark, 3rd gear, and try to pretty much hang that power, hang to that curb there. You can get some of that curbing if you want, just be careful, and power right on out gradually. And that will set us right up for the 13 and 14 or the campus quarters. So, 2nd gear, again, hug that curb here, we can get right on that power there, progressively. Where you get to Stavolo, 2nd gear as that curbing comes up, power right on out to this curb here, and I try to get off just a little bit to turn the car for traction. And so we go through here, and this is fully flat out most of this section, at least right about till you get to Bonchamont right here. And so I downshift here, off the gas, and then power back on, just to make sure the car gets to the corner. And then we get right to the chicane, which I brake just before the 100 marker there. 2nd gear, car on that curb here, another curb's there. I try not to take too much. And of course, that is the lap I usually tend to do around Spa. So as for the race itself, the tips here, the ideal passing zones I found are exiting Radion, Les Combs, Bruxelles, Stavolo, and the chicane. I found those were pretty ideal for getting around the AI. Of course, be aware of the AI's repeated braking, especially in El Rouge. If you've got a big run, that's really going to kill your momentum. So time it perfectly so you can get around them. Next, the World Touring Car 700. This is a 10-lap race with 12 times fuel use and 8 times tire wear at Deep Forest Raceway. 700 performance points or less. It can be a group 4, but you can also use something as well that you've built here. I'm feeling like just going for a group 4, to be honest here, so I'm going with this Supra. Just to sort of advertise the manufacturer series, it's going to be coming up quite soon. Let's do a lap around here. So here we are, full power down the straight as we're heading down to turn 1 here. Brake right there about the 100 mark. Second gear, turn right in, touch the curb, and power out. You can get all the way out here to this curbing there. And next year we're going through turns 2, 3, and 4. That's 2, 3, 4th gear through here. Downshift to 3rd, right up there. And then 2nd to this portion. Now you come up to this tunnel, 5, and then 6, and I hang that curb over under that white line and power right on down. Keep those wheels sort of on that green portion. And then downshift to 3rd just for some extra traction before getting right back to the power. And then brake again right on that white patch there. Hang the tires around that curbing, on the power, and up this straightaway through these tunnels here. And you're like full power there. And of course you want to prepare yourself for the braking there because it's super tight with how this corner goes. So you want to get the car as wide as possible. Prepare for that. Look for that 150 mark aboard too. Downshift the car all the way to 1st gear. I found that to be traction helpful. And so this is all just flat out. And what I like to tend to do is slingshot the car, have it right here, and turn deep right here. Because this actually gives me more momentum going onto the straightaway. And of course, do everything right, and that's a completed lap around Deep Forest. So, quick tips I recommend for this: racing mediums, the optimal tire choice. One stop or no stop is viable depending on car choice. So, you'll want to consider that heavily if that's what you want. Short shifting, highly recommended for both strategies though, if you're going to make either of them work. Obviously, if you're going to go to the end of the race or if you're going to make one stop, that is a highly recommended thing to make these strategies work. Obviously, the idea being spending less time in the pits and getting around the other cars. And finally, the special event being the time trial. Circuit des Spa-Francorchamps in the Renault Espace F1. So not really much of a lap there. It's a time trial, but much like the FTO around Brands Hatch, it's through a section of the track. So the tips here: 2nd gear through Les Combes and Malmedy, 2nd gear in Bruxelles and Speaker's Corner, and be cautious through the final corners there. You might slip off if you don't get the grip just right through there. And that is it for this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, whether you've just logged into these races or whether you've haven't logged in quite some time. So if you enjoy these, then give it a like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tick the bell icon so you'll be notified when these videos go up. So that is it for me, and I will see you guys in the next video.